When would you compare a Ford product to a BMW, Mercedes, or Audi? Well, when we're talking about the Mach-E, that's the one you'd compare. Believe it or not, the level of refinement, the fit and finish, the driveline dynamics are not your regular Ford. The Mach-E is built on a completely different level, not only because it's an EV, but because it's refinement, features, and style. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's a reason why they call it the Mustang, Mach-E. It would not be worthy of the Mustang name unless it had a beautiful, sexy body, amazing performance. And on top of that, unlike the Mustang, which is a two-door coupe, this is a five-door crossover SUV, which might seem sacrilegious to some people, but look at the design cues, look at the vertical tail lamps, the front end styling, the rear end styling. It's beautiful, and it has a lot of design themes borrowed from the Mustangs over the decades. The Mustang has been in continuous production for 60 years. And you also notice there are no Ford badges on it either. The Mustang Mach-E, the Mustang is kind of turning into almost like its own brand, like a Polestar. So we might see some stuff in the future that also is under the Mustang brand that might be EVs or gas-powered or hybrid vehicles. We got some nice changes for 2025 on the Mach-E. The one that I think that a lot of people appreciate is that Ford has significantly lowered the price. This is a 2025 Select rear-wheel drive, so it has a standard range battery, so you have a fully charged range of about 260 miles. It has one single electric motor for making it rear-wheel drive. There's other ones available of dual electric motors giving you all-wheel drive. But look at this price, starts at $41,585, and that's before incentives. This is a lot of car for your money. We have this brand new Escape over here, similar in size and price point to the Mach-E, but the Mach-E is going to be far smoother, far more refined as far as the styling and feature goes than the Escape. Not the Escape's a bad product, but it's tailored for different buyers. Even though this does not have the biggest battery, doesn't have the dual electric motors making it faster, this is one of the most efficient ways to get a Mach-E, because with EVs, weight is your enemy. When you add dual electric motors, that extra electric motor adds weight, reducing its efficiency. And on top of that, when you have dual electric motors, you have two motors drawing power from the battery instead of one. And on top of that, when you have the larger battery, the batteries are pretty heavy, that adds weight, so that saps efficiency. So even though this doesn't have a close to 300-mile range, like an all-wheel drive, large battery Mach-E, the amount of energy it takes from the battery is going to be less than a comparable all-wheel drive, larger battery version of the Mach-E. And most people aren't going to drive 200 miles in a day. Most people don't even drive more than 50 miles a day, including me. I've been commuting in my EV for over 3 years, and I rarely have to fast charge it. And obviously that's an option when you do have to go on a road trip. There are plenty of fast charging options. And in fact, Ford has opened up their amazing Tesla supercharging network to Ford vehicles. But we just don't get a lower price for 2025. There are some also other important changes that Ford has done to this Mach-E that are also going to make it more efficient, especially in colder weather. So if we look at the frunk, unfortunately, we've seen the frunk shrink in size versus some of the earlier Mach-Es, which might seem like a negative, but the positive is the reason why the size of the frunk has gotten smaller is because Ford added a new heat pump to the Mach-E, which is taking up a little bit more space. A heat pump, like a heat pump in your house, makes EVs much more efficient, especially in colder weather. When it gets below freezing, when it gets below zero, you see a very large degradation in range and efficiency in EVs. Batteries don't like to be cold. They don't function very well when they're cold, just like us. They need to be warm to make those chemical reactions inside them work faster and efficiently. That's why EVs generally have such a hard time in cold weather. And unlike a gas engine, where a dividend of a gas engine is it provides excess heat, which you can use to heat the passenger compartment, not the case with EVs. EVs will need to draw heat from the battery to heat the interior, and on top of that, they will need to draw heat from the battery to heat the battery itself, to keep it warmer. So that the more efficient heat pump really makes a big difference, despite the loss of size of the frunk. And you can also see that there's some drain holes in the frunk as well, and that is by design. You can use this as a cooler. You can put ice in here, cold beverages, maybe if you're fishing, you can put your day's catch in here, and it'll all drain automatically through these drain holes. pretty smart thinking on Ford's part. It's hard to make crossover SUVs look good. When you have a crossover SUV, you're dealing with an egg or jelly bean shape on wheels, which is hard to make look as sleek and sexy as a coupe or sedan. But Ford was up to the challenge, and using that Mustang-inspired styling, they made, I think, one of the best looking crossover SUVs in the market. I'm a big fan of Teslas. I have a Tesla Model 3, but I even think, you know, this is better looking than Tesla Model Y, which is the best-selling EV, best-selling vehicle in the world for 23 and 24. And now the Mach-E being at a lower price point and having that improved heat pump, it's definitely going to be more competition for Tesla. This is not the most loaded example. This is the most basic, one of the most basic examples of the Mach-E, but they don't skimp at all. You have this nice, beautiful synthetic leather interior, this lovely white contrast stitching that goes throughout the interior and the doors on the dashboard. You have this gigantic vertical screen, which is fantastic, lots of information. They probably borrowed this idea from Tesla. It kind of reminds me of the vertical screen in the Tesla Model S when it first came out. You have a gear selector right here. Before they had a rotary dial here. It's nice that they moved the gear selector up here because it kind of frees up more space. You can put your cell phone in here. You have these, you have this nice wireless charging pad, so that was a nice improvement. Of course, we have fantastic parking cameras as well as an overhead camera. Heated seats, heated steering wheel, dual zone auto climate control. Lots of features of the infotainment system. You can use it to find charging. We have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You can download apps and play games, something to pass the time away if you're fast charging. You can control the feel of the vehicle. So we have Whisper, which provides a seamless drive, calm and quiet, smooth acceleration and steering, the best mode for slippery conditions. You can set up one pedal driving, which I like. The thing with EVs is that they use regenerative braking. What happens with regenerative braking is when you remove your foot off the accelerator, it reverses the polarity of the electric motors, turning the electric motors into generators. So all that kinetic energy you'd normally lose through heat through braking, you can recapture that and put it back in the battery, and that's what makes EVs so much more efficient. And on top of that, since you're using the batteries to brake the vehicle and not so much the actual brakes, you get a lot longer life out of your brakes, sometimes past 100,000 miles. If you don't like the one pedal driving, you can shut it off, but I encourage you to get used to it. We're conditioned, we've been driving gas cars for so long that we're conditioned to know how a gas car feels, and anything different than that sometimes feels uncomfortable to us. But believe me, it won't take time at all to get comfortable with the one pedal driving. It's actually nice not having to go back and forth between the brake and the accelerator. You can just modulate and come all the way down to a complete stop just by using the accelerator pedal and modulating it. This can also pipe in fake sounds to make driving more fun. You can shut that on and off. We have Engage, which gives you balanced drive, everyday fun. And then we have Unbridled, which is suitable for a car called the Mustang, is basically your performance drive setting. Nice, spacious interior, very comfortable, very supportive seats. I'm 6'2", I got plenty of headroom, plenty of legroom back here, very comfortable place to be. And the thing with EVs, since you don't have an engine vibrating, the driving experience is very smooth. You don't have a transmission with multiple gears. You just have one single forward gear, one single reverse gear, so you don't feel the shift shock of the transmission changing gears. That's part of why the Mach-E is so smooth and refined. That's what makes it so luxurious, is that smoothness, that quietness of the electric powertrain. Plenty of space back here. This is a compact, but I got plenty of headroom, plenty of legroom. And we have lots of cargo space back here, and of course you can fold down those rear seats for more cargo space. And if we take a peek under here, we have a little bit more cargo space, as well as a cargo area cover, an inflator kit in case you have a flat tire, and of course we have the charging cable. Well, for 2025, the Mach-E is better than ever with a new heat pump, a lower, more affordable MSRP. If you've been thinking about getting an EV, a new Mach-E is an excellent choice with all the incentives, all the assistance we have from the local and federal governments for purchasing EVs. And especially us here in the Pacific Northwest, we have some of the lowest utility rates in the country, so we can further benefit from switching to electric versus gas. And on top of that, we have some of the highest gas prices. I was just filling up my transit van the other day, and you know, regular gas is like almost $5 a gallon. Not the case for this. Your house is a gas station. You come home, you plug it in, You go inside, you wake up the next morning, you come out, you have a full tank of electricity. It's so nice not to have to go to the gas stations. And on top of that, we're going from thousands of moving parts to dozens. Remember, we have regenerative braking, so brakes last a long time. No oil changes, no transmissions to go bad, no turbos to fail. EVs have dozens of moving parts and are very reliable, and you have a very robust, long warranty on the EV powertrain, the electric motor and the batteries. Thanks for watching. We're Way Scarff Ford. We've been in business over 100 years. Think about how much the car industry has changed over the last 100 years. 100 years ago, they were just kind of getting the hang of making refined internal combustion engines. Now we have these amazing electric powertrains. And the Mach-E is cutting edge, state of the art. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon and have a great day.